from the crypt.
Hello, boys and ghouls. Welcome to episode 77 of Dads from the Crypt, the Tales from the Crypt podcast. My name is Jason. Tonight, I'm joined by Mondo.
Hello, Jason.
Hello, Mondo. Jody is out. However, we have a special guest. She is the host of the Who's There podcast, with which Jody, Mondo, and I have been guests on. She's also the only person on this recording who has met Jody in person. And her name is Allison Broder.
Hello. Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Thanks for coming on. So, how is Jody in person?
Oh, he's
Tell
great.
us.
Yeah. No, he's great in person. He's basically the same as he is over Zoom, except he has legs. So
I was wondering about that.
yeah, he has two legs. I can totally verify.
Okay.
Is Jody also tall?
No, I don't remember. Is he tall? I can't remember. I think
Okay.
he's like maybe average height.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I
good.
always forget he's pretty average.
For some reason, I thought he was
Oh.
as tall as Jason. I'm like, we can never hang out together because they're
No.
definitely going to assume we're a throuple, and I'm definitely the bottom in that situation. I'm like, that's just not going to be okay.
So, Allison, tell us about Who's There.
So Who's There is a podcast that I started because I love talking to people about horror movies and what they love. I interview a new horror fan or creative every week, and I just talk to them about why they love horror, how they got into it, what their favorites are, things like what they won't watch, and what their boundaries are, why they think other people love horror, and what they're working on if they're in the industry and are creative, anything like that.
Nice. And you started that during quarantine, right?
Yeah, I think I put my first episode out like beginning of September 2020.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a big part of your podcast was like, so how's the quarantine going? How are you holding up?
Yeah. I like my last question is always what horror villain would you want to be in quarantine with? Which I don't know when I should retire that question since we're no longer in quarantine, but yeah.
I think it's a good standing question.
Yeah, I like that question because it makes you think. And one thing I love about your podcast, and actually your kind of love of horror, is that you're not traditional, if that makes sense. Like, you have no problem shitting on the classics, and I mean that in the best way possible, because I think a lot of times we look back at some of those older movies as with rose-colored glasses. Like, I go on a limb whenever anyone talks about the Amityville Horror. I'm like, oh, the 2005 Ryan Reynolds version blows the original out of the water, and people will get mad at that. I'm like, no, it does. That original sucked. But I like how you just have no filter because you're not afraid to say no. Like, I know you guys grew up on this, but it's not good. and I mean it in the most endearing way possible. I really do like that.
Yeah. I do think
Sorry, I
No, go
actually
ahead.
didn't like the 2005 Amityville Horror. I watched it like a year or two ago. I think I saw it in theaters too. I actually didn't like it. I was like, this is just Ryan Reynolds without a shirt on, and like that's nice and he looks good, but I don't know. I don't like the original so much either, but
No,
yeah.
I'm a haunted houses movies just do it for me because I lived in a haunted house and that shit just hits me really hard. And so that's why I know that's like one of the things I really like. Did you ever tell us what you liked, if you liked In the Mouth of Madness? I can't remember about that or not. That's very important to me.
I think I liked it. I didn't hate it. I didn't want my time back.
I'll take that.
Yeah, it's not like I was watching a Freddy or Jason movie, and
See, there are times I'll mention a movie and I'll be like, cool, but no, you won't like this movie. Like, you will not like this movie.
Yeah, I
always will not like it.
I can always ask like Jody and our other horror friends. I'd be like, would I like this? And they're like, no, don't bother.
But I will say, usually when you like a movie, I usually like it. So,
oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
I'll give you that.
So, Allison, before you prepare for this episode, had you watched Tales from the Crypt before?
I watched it as a kid in the early 90s. I think I probably watched it on like very scrambled HBO on my huge TV in my bedroom. So yeah, I definitely knew of Tales from the Crypt. I had not rewatched an episode until you sent me the link to this week's episode. getting that really old school HBO like intro, I was like, oh my God, it's my childhood.
Oh,
Yeah.
it hits you right in the feels, and that intro comes on.
Yeah.
Do you remember much of those early episodes? Do you have a favorite one or favorite moment?
No, I do not have a favorite one. I have to say I really like the intro. I remember the intro really clearly as soon as it started. And the music, I think I've heard the music from on your podcast before, since I watched it as a kid, but I was like, oh, I really like the intro. It's really creepy. So yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, I just want to shift to announcements for a moment before we jump into our full episode. We are launching another social media raffle. The contest starts today, February 12th, and ends on February 20th, Monday night at midnight. If you go to the link in our Instagram bio or in our tweets, you can see the link you need to go to enter. We will be selecting 2 winners this time, and they will each receive a $25 gift card from our friends at Fright Rags. And Mondo's even repping the shirt tonight.
I have the Tales from the Crypt EC Comics Fright Rag shirts. And the one thing I said too about Fright Rag shirts, they are so comfy.
Oh, they're amazing.
They're so comfy. It's like in my old age, I really hate that all the fucking metal bands print their shirts on heavy gilding, whatever the fuck you call it, cotton, because those shirts just suck. Like these like soft shirts. I forgot the brand name of these, but they're all fantastic.
Yeah.
But soft shirts are where they're at.
Yeah. Fright Rags has all kinds of great franchises, so check them out, even if you don't win. All right.
Socks. They have some cool hats.
Cool hats. They have socks, all kinds of stuff. All right. Tonight, though, we're talking about Tales from the Crypt, the season premiere of season 6. So, we're talking season 6, episode 1, which came out on Halloween 1994. Again, they did that thing where it's 3 episodes all at once to start off the season. We're talking about Let the Punishment Fit the Crime. Mondo, since Jody's not here, you get to do the plot synopsis.
Yeah, man. Once again, thanks, Jody, for just dropping this on us. Now I have to figure this out. So I'm going to be reading a lot from a website here, but I'm not going to go super, super deep on this one because it's but it's a great app. But say I'll get to how I like the episode. But we start out, we're on in a courtroom in the town of Sticksville. As we learn that's how it's pronounced, and it's a lawyer named Geraldine Ferret. She's been arrested because as we find out, her license plate has not enough characters in there, and they're also in the state of New York where Allison's from. So I guess this is perfect. Shouldn't have told everyone where you're from after Jason gave your name on the podcast, but
what street?
And we'll be posting a list of her fears and her physical home address on our Instagram. If everybody wants to see it.
Yes. Great. Thank you, because it's not scary enough being a woman. Thank you.
And so anyhow, she's in the courtroom and she's seeing these people. You have a guy in a wheelchair, and it's very important. As she says, "Do you have representation?" He goes, "No." Well, you find out real fast she's a lawyer, and she hands him her business card and says, "Well, I know you have a lawyer, but drop your lawyer and come talk to me because I'm a better lawyer." And we find out really, really fast she's an ambulance chaser too. And no offense to lawyers, there are some good lawyers out there, but a lot of them, just saying, like not where they should be. But she finally she gets a public defender named Haggard, which is such a great name for a public defender, who tells her like, "Hey, we have to go see the judge. Luckily, we're not going to see the judge in courtroom B. We're going to see the judge in courtroom A, kind of." So she goes in the courtroom, and he gets her a plea deal for this license plate issue. And the plea deal is for if she pleads guilty, she'll only get 10 lashes.
Because they're very strict in this town, as keeps saying.
They're very strict in this town. And she starts off by saying $10, no problem. Like, here's your $10. He's like, no, 10 lashes. So she goes, "Fuck that. I want to fight the case because I'm not wrong." So she fights the case, and it seems like she's actually going to win because she proves that the space between Sue Me makes it 6 characters, which is legal in the state of New York. Which is also really odd because nowadays, if you try to actually get a personalized license plate, it has to be approved. Like, it goes through an approval process before it ever comes to you. And there's actually a website out there you can look at reasons why certain personalized plates were denied. It's a really funny website because people will try to get the raunchiest names ever and try to say, "Oh, it's a family name." And they're like, no, eat shit is not a family name.
Eat shite family.
It reminds me of in Robin Hood Men in Tights when the witch's name is Latrine. And she's like, "I changed my name to Latrine." Like, he's like, "You changed your name to Latrine?" Like, "Yeah, it used to be Shithouse." But one of my favorite movies of all time. Allison, it's a Mel Brooks film. You'd like that movie if you haven't seen it.
I have not seen it.
It's not horror. Anyhow, she tells him the space counts as a plate, and you can tell the judge is kind of like, ah, shit, she got us. So I think they're ready to let her off. And then here comes Haggard running back in. And by the way, Haggard played by the actor, which I know Jason has written down.
MacNicol.
I love him so much.
He's so good.
Played Renfield in Dracula Dead and loving it. And he played the sidekick to Vigo, the Carpathian in Ghostbusters 2. Just absolutely loved him. So he comes in and hands, I don't know why he does this. He hands a judge a folder with like all of her misdeeds.
All her clippings.
I got this. I'm gonna get you off, and hands in the folder. And I also love this thing he does where he turns around, he like cuts his mouth, goes, I got you, we're good. Because they are not good. And the judge looks at that and he just sentences her to guilty anyways, even though she's obviously proven she's not guilty. He's like, guilty, you're guilty because you just suck as a human being. And she gets sentenced to 100 lashes, which like that would kind of suck. So they're taking her away for her lashes. They take her down this hallway with a dungeon, and she's freaking out, like, "Oh my god!" And then in runs Haggard, who's like, "No, another judge is going to hear your case. We got it. Or sorry, what is he? He goes, "No, we got you off. I got you off. You're free to go. You're going to be free to go." So she's like, finally, and she gives him shit, like slams him against the wall, and she goes to leave. And as she's leaving, they're like, "Well, you can't leave because you're under arrest again because it's illegal in Sticksville." Who are a very strict town, to give your business card or try to solicit someone who already has a lawyer. Now he goes to courtroom. She goes to courtroom B, which is a different judge who looks just like the first, who is the first judge.
It's like, the same actor, yeah.
Like the same actor, but it's the brother. And I love it. She goes, "It's the same guy." And Haggard goes, "No, definitely. I don't understand how you see that." I think he thinks about it. He goes, "Yeah, maybe a little. Maybe you can see a little bit of resemblance."
Like, I think they're related.
Yeah, I love how they play that up. So they get her for the business card issue, and this time they sentence her to being pilloried, meaning being a stocks with your hands, your head, one of those big like ancient pillars for 1 year. So they're taking her down there, and she sees. Oh, maybe this is before. Maybe it's the 100 lashes part, when she sees the guy crying into his face, and he has his nose cut off, which I thought was a really, really cool visual.
Yeah, that was really cool.
So what are you crying for? Because they took my nose, and his nose is gone. And now she gets put in the pillories. So using the pillory, she's starting to freak out, and she starts seeing. I don't know if we're supposed to believe they're real or everybody else can see. Well, they can. I know at least Haggard can see them, because you see these ghosts of her past. Like the guy, he's got a hole in his heart because he couldn't get a pacemaker because she sued the pacemaker company and put them out of business, and he had to get all these costly surgeries. And someone else who couldn't get a pacemaker and died because they couldn't afford healthcare because of her being a famous class action lawyer. So she's freaking out, losing her mind as they're coming forward. And next, Renfield comes in. He goes, "I got you an appeal." Not Renfield. Sorry. Haggard comes in.
No, I like it.
The appeal. I got you the appeal. So they go in front of the final judge, and it's in this weird, like, small courtroom. And by the way, my wife pointed this out, and I immediately thought this earlier too. Is this episode has such Nothing But Trouble vibes?
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
Ugh. Get that movie.
But Jason, I'm gonna bet you'd give this episode a higher rating than Nothing But Trouble.
Oh yeah.
So she goes to last judge and just looks at it and goes, sentences her to death by electrocution for the act of giving someone her business card. Like, what? It's a very strict town. And they also show, while she's going through all this, they show all these, like, you hear a lot of courthouses, they'll have like historical paintings or photos on the wall. All their photos are of executions from the 1900s, the early 1900s. And so then Haggard goes, let me talk to you, Judge. Let me approach the bench. Which I love this part, because he goes to approach the bench and it's huge. It's like 15 feet in the air, and he has to like reach up, and you just see his face, his like face over the edge of it. And he talks to the judge, and they're talking, and he finally says, "Well, you know what? I got you off death. You have to go home. You need to go back home, where you're going to do community service and be a public servant and be a lawyer for free, basically a pro bono public defender." And she goes, "Okay, that's fine. I can't wait to get out of here." So she leaves and opens a courtroom door, and it's to a room with an electric chair in it. And she goes, "What do you mean? That's not for me. Like, you told me I get to go home." He goes, "You are home now. This is for me." He goes, "I get to leave this place." And he sits down, he's like, "Strap me in, boys." And they strap him in, and they electrocute. And he goes, "I'd rather be dead than be in your shoes now. And then he gets electrocuted, obviously saying that, hey, he was a public defender the same way. He even says, he goes, I won more court cases than you could ever even imagine. Like, also saying that he was a piece of shit, terrible lawyer too. And he gets electrocuted, he dies, and then you see it pans in on Catherine O'Hara's face, and then it pans out, and she's wearing the Haggard suit, the public defender suit, with his shitty wig. And then she screams, and we end the episode. Which I will say, what I did love is, once again, we got the throwback to the electric chair, which has been, I think, in 3 or 4 seasons now, where the first episodes had an electric chair in it.
I didn't think about that, but you're right.
This is at least 3.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Mondo. All right, Allison, you're our guest. So you get to start us off. What did you think?
I really liked it. I was afraid that because this is so old, and by so old I mean like 20 years old, that I was going to be a little bit bored, but I was never bored.
Real fast,
almost 30.
About 30 years old.
30 years old. Yeah. Okay.
We're all in our late 30s, I think. No,
still only mid 30s.
You're early 30s.
No.
You're early 30s. Yeah, no, I know you're younger than us.
No, I'm mid 30s. Okay. I'm 36.
Yeah,
so.
I knew you were younger than us. I just didn't know how much younger. I thought you were a lot younger than us.
But
All right, Allison, go ahead. What do you think?
Jason's still the oldest. That's all you have to know.
Oh, yeah. No, I liked it. I found it really entertaining. I didn't see the ending coming. I felt a little bit like Christmas Carol, where like the people from the past came to, haunt her. And she maybe realized that she had done shitty things. I'm sorry, can I curse?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Okay. I've already cursed like 18 times. You're definitely good.
Yeah, so I liked it. I love seeing Catherine O'Hara. I was like, oh, it's the mom from Home Alone. And I know she's been in other things, but that's what I know her from. So, and I had a question. Who does, when Catherine looks at that photo in the courtroom, it's of an execution, but I feel like in the first corner that she looks in, she sees somebody that she recognizes. Or the second time I was watching it, it looks like it's 2 modern day looking people in this old fashioned photo.
Yeah, I think she's just realizing that they're still doing executions like today. Like, because the first couple were just like old timey photos. This one is still looks like an old timey photo until you realize there's like a modern car and people wearing modern clothing. So she's like, wait,
gotcha.
They're still doing it. She's realizing that they're still doing executions.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would.
All right, Mondo.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this too. I've always felt that sometimes, one thing about this episode that really got me, I love the kind of the color palette they use, where it's very dark, very dreary, and almost looked old timey for being set in the 90s. Catherine O'Hara too, by the way, fantastic in this with her facial expressions, and she was an old SCTV actress. If you guys were ever in SCTV, so she was like, on that comedy scale with Rick Moranis and John Candy and just a lot of greats there. I thought you really hammed it up. And I mean that in the best way possible. Because as we've talked about, Tales from the Crypt is that perfect platform for actresses and actors just to go over the top and ham it up. And I thought her interactions with Haggard, so I love that the Haggard character too, where she, even though she's hamming up, she's still the straight man in this. Whereas Haggard is just as over the top public defender, always making the faces, always making the weird, and he's so good as an actor, almost having that rubber face and pushing his character through with this facial expressions, and then the judge being super like, and even the actor who played the judge, each judge he played differently. Whereas the first one was definitely the most lenient judge, even though he was fucking crazy. When he's like, shit, the 6 characters, son of a bitch, I think she's right. He was so upset. And the second judge is right away sentenced, and the third judge is being like, fucking death for this small infraction. And I also felt like through the episode, you got this sense of just dread, because granted, there's no character you're really rooting for in this. Every character is, or all the main characters are all just proven to be terrible people. But you still get that feeling of like, man, I couldn't imagine being in their shoes and with no exit. Like again, no point is there any. You never think like, oh, she's definitely going to get out of this safely. You just know that bad shit's going to happen, and bad shit's going to happen to everybody. And at the end, to be honest, like, she got what she deserved for being a terrible human being. And even at the beginning, I think she's talking to her husband on the phone about Knicks tickets.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I'm gonna grab some food. She's like, just fucking go to the game and deal with it. Like, you don't have to eat, you shitty human being. You. Have you ever seen a Knicks game, Allison?
No, I don't like basketball
And
or
me either.
sports.
So I somehow trolled everybody by saying I was going to be an Orlando Magic fan because they're the worst team in the NBA. And now I'm like super into them. I'm not watching the games, but I am checking the results like every game they play. Like I trolled myself into a fucking real thing, which sucks. But I love that it used to be a thing on sitcoms where everyone had tickets to the game, and and so many episodes of all these sitcoms or comedy shows or whatever are all based upon someone trying to get to a sports game, which I always think was a funny thing. Like everyone just knows someone with tickets to the Lakers or the Yankees or to the Mets. Or whatever. So yeah, I'm always in for an episode like this. I think it was really, really well done. And even though there was my only complaint, a small complaint, is they showed some cool gore throughout with the prosthetics and the ghouls, I'll say. And the end with the electrocution scene, I wish I was a little bit more graphic. I'm not like, I don't need a ton of blood and a ton of gore to make me happy. But I think when you're going to show all these little cool, like little gore pieces, someone getting electrocuted is actually not a pretty sight. So I thought they could have done something there and made it a little bit more intense to kind of put that little cherry on the top at the very end. But that's a very small complaint of an episode that I really enjoyed.
Yeah. The prosthetic with the nose was really gross.
Yeah, yes. I thought so too. And it's one of those things you can almost imagine, like if someone cut your nose off, how weird it'd be. But if you ever had a cold and thought, man, you know how good it feels to cut my nose off and like dig all the nasties?
No.
Never thought that your nose is stuffed up and you can't breathe. And you're like, I should just cut my nose off and to see if I can get all this stuff out. No, just
Mondo,
no.
Okay. That would not go my dating profile. if I was
wonders about cutting off own nose.
Thank Christ, I've been married for 20 years. I'm gonna tell my wife this later and see if she agrees with me that it would feel really good to cut your nose off and get all that stuff out of there.
Yes. Let us know what she said.
Yeah.
Like it'd be like an extreme neti pot. No, like nobody. Damn.
No.
Okay.
No.
Like you never thought like if you got hit in the head with an axe, it would suck, right? But that first burst of air that got into your skull and like whooshed around your brain and feel really good.
No.
Okay. Where's Jody? I'm gonna call Jody. I bet Jody would.
Yeah. Get Jody down real quick. All right, I'm gonna dive in. Yeah, I love this episode. It was really fun. This season 6 is when they move production to England, and it's generally considered kind of when things start going downhill a bit for the series. So I've been kind of dreading this a little bit. But this was really, really good. I really Catherine O'Hara. She's one of those actresses where she kind of either plays a really comedic role or kind of a motherly role. Because I always think of her as the mom from Home Alone. But then you have to remember her like in Beetlejuice. She did the voice of Sally in Nightmare Before Christmas.
I did not know that was her.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, really? I didn't know she. That's cool. I know she did that.
Yeah, she was in Mighty Wind, and of course, Schitt's Creek is she's phenomenal. But I've never seen her play this kind of like snarling, kind of villainous character before, really. And I kind of like, I want more. I would love to see her do more roles like this. I thought it was really fun. I like it. I like it when actors play against type and then also go big. So it's my two favorite things: going big and playing against type. And this is both.
I think she could be a really good horror villainess. Kind of like that movie Ma, almost in a role like that, where you think she's gonna be this motherly character, and then but there's this that little sinister thing behind her. I think she'd be really good in a role like that.
But then let's see. So this was directed by Russell Mulcahy, who did a bunch of Crypt episodes. This is the third of 4 that he did. He did a bunch of music videos in the 70s and the 80s into the 90s. He did for AC/DC, Duran Duran, Rod Stewart, Elton John, the Rolling Stones, Queen, and she did the Bonnie Tyler video for Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Wow.
He also directed the first 2 Highlander movies. He directed The Shadow, Resident Evil Extinction, and he did 40 episodes of the Teen Wolf TV series that came out a couple years ago. He's also doing the Teen Wolf movie, which is coming out soon, apparently. Let's see, we already talked about Catherine O'Hara, Peter MacNicol. He's done a bunch of stuff. We already talked about pretty much everything, except, again, to be funny, he did Ally McBeal, which, again, he plays a lawyer, so there's kind of funny symmetry there.
I didn't talk about his best role, though. He was a protagonist and the hero in the movie Dragon Slayer.
Never seen that.
Dragon Slayer is like super 80s, but if you like Conan O'Brien, now I want to see Conan O'Brien the Destroyer.
I was even a leotard.
But if you ever watch the Conan movies, it's got Dragon Slayer's in that same vein. That
Okay, I'll check that out.
fantasy and surprisingly really good. Cheesy as fuck. Don't get me wrong. You got to have you got to be cool with those cheesy movies. But I like that movie.
Yeah, he's also in Veep, and he plays like this like character that just won't stop swearing. It's like over the top swearing. So if you want to see him just like let out a ton of vulgarity on people, it's pretty entertaining.
I'd watch that.
Oh yeah, I'd watch that too.
I've never seen Veep. That's with the one lady from Seinfeld, right?
No, Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yeah. Hey, I'm sorry. Sorry, man. I just don't understand. Again, I love her enthusiasm. I don't get Seinfeld.
The judge is played by Joseph Maher. He was in the Sister Act. He was also in The Shadow, and he started acting in 1952. So props to that guy. Long career. But yeah, overall, I thought this was a really fun episode. I kind of guessed that like somehow they would switch places or something like that towards the end. I kind of guessed that a little bit.
I remember this very vividly from watching this when I was younger. Like the minute I saw the intro to the court, I was like, oh shit, I know exactly what episode this is.
Yeah, and then I read some like what people said, and a lot of people theorized that she's actually in purgatory. She's like on the river Styx. This is the town Styx.
Oh, that's a really good. I never thought about that's really good.
And there's a couple other like things that people smarter than me picked up, but yeah, it makes a lot. It makes the ghouls make a lot more sense, and just the whole thing in general that she's kind of like being punished in purgatory.
You know, one thing they did that I kind of they never actually capitalized. They never actually showed why, but when she's in the pillories and she has blood dripping on her hand.
Oh yeah, I thought that was gonna be like there was gonna be a body or something dripping from
Maybe it was cut.
But yeah, I mean, she just kills it. She kills this role.
Well, I saw that pillory scene. I'm like, yeah, that wouldn't be terrible. And I'm like, oh, your back would really hurt.
Oh my god, yeah, like 30 seconds. I'm like, I'll do anything. Get me out.
Yeah, your back would be so stiff after a year.
Yeah, my back is stiff anyways, but yeah, the pillory, forget it. What else? But yeah, I mean, again, this is a good, strong start to the new season. Yeah, you really got me with a curveball about the whole first episodes having electricity chairs.
Yeah, I think ask Al about that when you see him, because you guys are like best friends.
We did go to a convention this weekend. I'll tell you more about that in a minute.
I want to hear about that because I love that we started this podcast and Jason has like a bromance with Al.
I know.
Like, did you ever think that was gonna happen when you started this?
It's a whole thing. Next
time I come to LA, you got to get Al out. We got to
totally.
Got to meet Al, so I can sit there and not say anything for an hour because I'll just be fucking, like my introversion will come out 100%.
But yeah, I thought it was a very solid episode. It was very funny. There's a lot of humor and gore and a little bit of shock and everything. So yeah, all around good episode.
Yeah, I thought it flew by. So
yeah, I was
happy. Never dragged.
Never dragged. Yeah, that's just a good thing. Okay, I want to talk about the comic because I thought this was really interesting. So this came from Vault of Horror 1930, Vault of Horror number 33, the same issue the Strung Along comic came from. And the comic has absolutely nothing to do with this episode. It was like very vaguely about murder, but they're all kind of about murder. And there's a thing about a lawyer, but it has nothing to do. But let me tell you, this is like one of the most chilling comics I've ever read. Okay, so it begins on the dirt road leading through a small town. A group of children come marching down the street carrying a wooden coffin. As they make their way, a string of neighbors start talking to each other and pass information back and forth. The first neighbor theorizes that they're just burying a pet, a cat or a dog. The next neighbor is the undertaker, who mentions that the same group of kids came to him to ask him about funerals and burying bodies. The next neighbor is the town doctor, and the kids came to him to ask how to tell when someone's dead. The next neighbor is the electrician, and the kids ask him, the next neighbor is the shop owner who sold the kids a newspaper with a story about a man who was electrocuted. The next neighbor is electrician. The kids came to him to ask him about electricity and being electrocuted. So you can see where this is going.
This is the most fucked up like version of
it gets worse. It gets so much worse. The next neighbor is their teacher, and the kids came to her and asked her what capital punishment was because they read that in the article.
Well, this could also be a South Park episode.
Yeah, in ways. Let's see. The next neighbor is the town lawyer. The kids came to him asking what crimes deserve capital punishments. He tells them only serious crimes like murder and kidnapping warrant it. The kids get to an empty lot and start to bury the coffin. The last neighbor is the judge. The kids had come to him to ask him about juries and trial by peers. Just then, as all the neighbors are just kind of standing around saying, oh, look at these cute kids pretending to have a funeral. Just then, a woman comes running up to the judge looking for her little boy, Freddie. The judge thought he was the kid. The judge thought Freddie was with the group of kids, but the mom says he doesn't play with them anymore because he took something from them and they have not forgiven him. Oh. The judge is startled and asks the lawyer what he told the kids about kidnapping. The lawyer says he told the kids that when someone steals someone else's child, that's kidnapping. The mom gasps and says that Freddie took one of the girl's dolls and never gave it back. They all look in horror as they gaze over at the kids who had just finished burying the coffin. So it's applied. Yeah.
It's fucked up.
It's so fucked up. It's implied that the kids are burying Freddie because he kidnapped one of their dolls.
That's some weird Calvin and Hobbes shit right there.
Oh yeah, how does that relate to this episode?
I think. Well, I mean, from a production standpoint, all they have to do is use the title, and they can do anything they want with the story. They don't have to do anything. I mean, yeah, there's a lawyer in this story.
Man, I'm really interested. This is actually a good question for Al. I really am interested how they came up with this story based on that comic. I read the comic and was like, we're not fucking doing that. So
no. But like, it's a really well done comic because it's just like these little panels of all the. It's a game of telephone between all these neighbors. And each kind of regaling.
I haven't read it yet. I'm gonna read it though.
Each neighbor is like regaling to the next one what the kids told them, and they're all just kind of piecing it together. And like the first neighbor said, "Oh, it's probably cat or dog." So then all of them just start saying, "Oh yeah, they're bringing a cat and dog." Like they just accept it as fact. Like down the line, the further it goes.
The one thing I looked up when watching this episode is what's interesting. I think it was in season 1. That episode came out right after the episode was being made and came out right after the execution of Ted Bundy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Ted Bundy when people were really still, for the past 30, 40 years, people have been debating whether the death penalty is good or not. I'm on the side of it's not good, just saying. But this year was actually the year that John Wayne Gacy was executed.
Oh, really?
And I wonder if they kind of went with that again. I think he was executed. I looked it up earlier. I think around June or July of April or May of that year. And I wonder if that was during writing that. The production probably have already wrapped at that point. So
maybe not. I think this episode is more to say about healthcare and lawyer, the nature of the lawyer as a profession. Getting rich as a lawyer.
I'll never forget when I got in my first really bad car accident when someone ran a red light and totaled my car. I'm standing on the sidewalk afterwards waiting for the cops to show up, and this guy comes running out of his apartment in his boxer shorts to hand me his card, and he's a lawyer.
God,
I did not use him.
Good. This is kind of like that one Saw movie where it's about healthcare.
All of them.
What Saw movie is that?
There's a Saw movie where he traps a bunch of people from like a healthcare company.
The whole franchise is about healthcare, though.
Well, yeah, but there's one very
specific healthcare.
No, I'm saying, but there's one very specific episode where he targets all these people in the health insurance company.
Well, so they talk about healthcare, but I think it's more of an indictment of the whole insurance industry, period. But we're really, oh God, I'm not going to rant here.
Yeah.
I think isn't Saw about appreciating what you have in your life?
Yes, but they also point out that like the Jigsaw started what he had because his healthcare company denied him treatment that he needed to potentially save his life.
Oh, okay.
And that's the thing through the whole thing, but there's one very specific one where it's like all the people in the traps are all work for the same healthcare organization or health insurance organization.
I have a friend that I worked at Apple who's going through. He basically beat prostate cancer. Now it's coming back sadly. And there's a drug they wanted to try, which is experimental, and his insurance company denied him. So if he wants to try it, it's going to cost him like $9,000, and it's pretty shitty because it's like your fucking doctor tells you what you might need to save your life. The insurance company goes, "Nah, that's not profitable," denied, and it's God that just irks me to no end.
Yeah. He could fight it though. He could try to submit the claim over and over.
Yeah, he's working on it, but still though, like you think that like if the doctor says you need this, a healthcare company should be like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
The doctor,
Oh,
the doctor
Allison,
gone to school for all these years has totally said you need this. So yes, let's do this. But the fact that the insurance industry is a profitable industry,
Yeah.
there's a lot of issues with that.
Yeah. Allison, I
Sorry,
forgot you
I
worked
don't-
in HR.
Yeah, no, but I know I don't mean to be defending health insurance companies. Fuck
Oh,
them.
you're not. You're not.
But,
I know.
I work for one, so
Yeah. Damn it,
Yeah,
Jason.
no, it's terrible. It's terrible. I got an estimated bill that they wanted me to pay the entirety of before I had surgery in October, and I was like, here's $500, and then I never got the rest of the bill because I guess they overestimated. So
yeah.
Oh, God.
All right, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole, but yes.
Oh no, we do because
Why
fucking
not?
insurance is a goddamn scam. I got in a minor car accident, and they deemed me at fault because even though I slammed on my brakes, the other person basically ran an intersection because I was turning and they were going straight. I got cited, not by the police because we're both going into a shopping complex, but they had no injuries. No one had any injuries, but they sued me because they know, because again, they went to a lawyer, a fucking ambulance chasing lawyer who knows that the insurance company will just pay off to not have to deal with it. So tip, if you ever want a fucking insurance company over, all you have to do is say you're injured, call a lawyer, and they'll get you whoever that person's maximum amount of insurance is. It's such a fucking scam industry.
wait, can you say that again? I need some money.
Yeah.
So,
All you basically have to do is get hit by somebody, not get hurt, and then sue them because they're not going to pay. The insurance company will pay. And what will happen is the lawyer will settle for the maximum amount of your insurance policy.
no, I'm
No,
not.
So-
okay.
I don't know if I would survive getting hit by a car, so
We-
I should not.
Yeah, we're not liable for any legal advice that's given on this show.
It's so funny.
Mondo Esquire.
It's a funny story. I still had to go like do a testimony over all this. So I'm in the car with Geico's lawyer. We're driving to the other lawyer's office. I have to give a statement, which also was an uncomfortable thing because they started fighting. And I'm like, just that little kid is like, oh, mommy and daddy are fighting. I'm just sitting here. But they're like, we go, we're driving, right? And a green light goes. So we go, and the guy blows the light and almost hits us.
Oh no.
And the lawyer goes, man, I'm insured for like $10 million. We would both be retired. And I was like, why did you stop? I still think about that.
Oh.
But if
All
you
right.
want to piss a lawyer off, though, my lawyer did laugh and say that was the best answer I've ever heard. The guy goes, "What do you think you could have done to not have? What do you think you could? What do you think would have happened that would have stopped this accident from happening?" I said, "If I died in my sleep that morning." and my lawyer tried not to laugh, and the guy was fucking pissed. I'm pretty sure I saw a vein pop out of his neck.
Oh,
yeah.
And she goes, "That was a perfect answer." Because what they're trying to do, they're trying to get you to say, "Oh, maybe if I'd have paid more attention." They're like, "Aha, you weren't paying attention." I'm like, "No, if I didn't get out of bed that morning, maybe that wouldn't have happened." Just saying.
All right, let's move on to our episode rating. Allison, what do you rate this episode? 0 to 5, 5 being the best, 0 being the worst. You can do half points. Can't tell if you're thinking or
I don't-
frozen.
Oh, you froze for a second. You're good.
Oh,
am I good now?
you're good now.
You're golden.
Okay. It says my internet connection is unstable. I apologize. I'm gonna give this 4 out of 5 because I really enjoyed it, and I don't have anything else to compare it to from the series.
That's
but I
fine.
enjoyed it. So
4 to 5 is an
Mondo.
awesome score. 4.5.
Yeah.
Not quite a 5 because I'm missing just something. I don't know quite what. But as I've said, if I finish the episode and don't immediately say 5, it can't be a 5. But damn, it's close.
Yeah, I'm really torn between a 4 and a 4.5. I don't know what this episode could have done to be better. It doesn't feel like best of the best, but definitely one I would recommend. I'll go with the 4. Very, very good episode.
I even think this one's episodes where it's got a lot of great tension, but I think you could show this to a newer horror fan, or even I think like I think you could show your kids this. I think, and
Except for the ghouls, that's the only part.
even the ghouls, like there's worse shit in Courage the Cowardly Dog. Maybe just desensitized. I don't know, but yeah, maybe the ghouls. I should, Jason's the one with the younger children, so I should maybe heed to his recommendation.
I would not show this to my 8-year-olds.
Okay. I would show this to my 20-year-old. That's okay.
Well, yeah, that's yes. All right. Well, there you have it. We're going to move on to Al's anecdotes. And we're back. Mondo, give us your song of the day.
Man, we haven't heard from Al in forever. It feels good to hear from Al again. All right. So I have a very simple song today. It's by a band from New York called Propane and Propane Accessories. But it's by a New York hardcore band. They're kind of a crossover thrash band. They call them crossover bands, kind of what Suicidal Tendencies was doing, where it's kind of had maybe some like hip hop elements in there with the delivery of vocals, and some thrash metal and some New York hardcore. And it was our first record from 1992, Propane's Foul Taste of Freedom. And the song I picked off that record is the title track, Foul Taste of Freedom. If anybody's a punk fan out there, the front man, whose name was, I think it was Dan? Was it Dan? Gary. Gary also played in the punk band The Crumbsuckers from way back in the day. But it's funny because the lyrics are super... it's not funny, but the lyrics are super left-wing, but it's funny when you hear these songs that are political from 1992 and you put them under today's lens, still makes sense. It's the same shit we're fucking dealing with now. And it's kind of depressing.
History repeats itself.
Yeah. I mean, the first verse is young, dumb, and helpless in the States. You say you ain't got no money. I can relate. I lost my job and my house and my peace of mind. We're in the deepest depression of modern times. Like, and then it goes even more so. But my favorite line is Yankee Doodle Dickweed went to town, but apple pie and Chevrolet shot him down. A patriotic, fat-headed sucker freak is proud to serve the country that had served him weak. It's but the whole album's actually really, really good. It's the only Propane record I really ever liked, really ever got into, because it's still one of those bands I had to look up before he did the show. Like, they were all like bald head. Maybe make sure they're not Nazis before I put them on, before I promote them.
Now you have to check. Like 30 years after the fact, are they Nazis yet?
Yeah.
I haven't checked, but sometimes though I think that when you take a piece of music like that in that, like they might all be like gun-toting Republicans at this point. I don't know, but in the moment though, back in the 90s when that came out, I think you can still listen to the song and look at it like, oh fuck, that's makes a lot of sense when you put it to what's going on in the world nowadays. That's, I mean, Black Sabbath's War Pigs came out in 1970, and holy shit, does it still make sense today?
Yeah.
Or Children of the Grave from Master Reality. Like the whole song's about like, if we don't start embracing love instead of hate, we won't be children of the world, we'll be children of the grave. Like fucking damn it. Why did we not listen to Black Sabbath?
We should all listen to Black Sabbath.
Geezer and Naomi knew what the fuck was up back in the 70s, 50 years ago, and we didn't heed those warnings. God damn us.
Yeah.
Goddamn politicians.
All right, thank you, Mondo. Since Jordy's not here, we don't have any news or trivia prepared, but we thought we'd do a quick round of what you've been watching. I'm going to start off. I tried to watch Skinamarink last night, and I fell asleep.
Allison, have you seen that?
Yeah, I went to go see it in theaters when it was in theaters for a weekend.
How was that in the theater? I can't imagine.
It was good because everyone was really tense the entire time waiting for something big to happen.
Uh-huh.
And so the couple of times that there was like a big noise or like a jump scare of some sort, like everyone jumped together, and then there was like a big tension release. But yeah, my friend that I saw it with she really liked it. I enjoyed it for the experience. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again, but yeah, I'm glad I saw it in the theater.
Yeah, expectations play a big part in movies like this. So like my expectations have been so up and down, and also knowing kind of what I was in for.
Yeah.
I just kind of was like, okay, I'm just gonna roll with this. I had headphones on. I found the crackling noise kind of soothing in a way. I think that might have what put me. It was like ASMR movie. And I felt like it's gonna be such a topic this year that I want to watch it just so I can be part of that discussion and not just be like, well, I heard. So I'll probably finish it at some point. I'm only have like half an hour left, I think. Just to finish it off. And I appreciate that they were trying something different. That they haven't made a movie before, so I can't poo-poo them for that.
Well, yeah, and not all movies are for all people. And
Mhm.
the fact that anytime like a small independent film like this gets put in the theaters, I think
Oh
it's a
yeah,
good thing for horror in general.
yeah, exactly. It gets people talking about horror. I'm happy. So that, and I've been watching The Last of Us, has been fantastic.
Have you watched the third episode, which is supposed to
Yeah,
be a tearjerker? I haven't watched that yet.
so
I heard it's
good.
going to be heavy, and I'm like, I don't want that
It's
right
not
this
as
second.
bad as people. I mean, it's definitely like it definitely hits you, but it's
Yeah,
not like the worst, like most saddest thing I've ever seen.
I really enjoyed the first two episodes, and I'm on board.
Mhm. Yeah, no, but I've been really enjoying it. If anything, I like the more. I don't care as much about the main plot as I do like the flashbacks to the before times or like the kind of side people. Like the main plot is kind of like, oh, this kind of okay, they're trying to get point A, point B. It's more the the side things that are kind of happening, or like I said, the before sequences. I really enjoy. Mondo, what have you been watching?
So I watched today. I watched that new Netflix movie with Jonah Hill and Lauren London and Eddie Murphy called You People. Not a fan.
It's not where I thought you were going with that.
Well, so it looked good, right? I think I thought Lauren London was awesome in it. I like Eddie Murphy. I like Jonah Hill. I was like, let me just give this a shot, and I thought it's just I don't know, man. Jason, I want you to watch a movie. As a Jewish man, I want you to watch the movie because the way they portray Jewish people, I'm like, I don't think
Anytime
this.
I hear, I want you to watch this because you're Jewish.
As a
I'm like,
Jewish
oh God.
man,
Yeah, I want him to think like I was like, I don't think they're portraying like I think they portray the David Duchovny and Julie Louis-Dreyfus as just so over the top, like every Jewish stereotype you hear.
oh,
And then Eddie Murphy plays obviously a man who's found he's become Muslim, and they play him like over the top too. Like they're taking these two cultures and almost playing them over the top for laughs, which is always kind of weird to me. Like it's I'm okay. You can be Jewish in a film, but not have like every fucking stereotype, attached to you, or be like, yeah, you found like this is gonna sound really weird, but Oz is a great show from HBO, which showed like how people became Muslims, but it wasn't played for laughs over the top. It was played very seriously and for the right reasons. I think that was really weird. And then it turned it's like a fucking turned into like this rom-com where by the end I'm like, I just fucking hate this movie. I hate like the way they portray the characters, the way they portrayed like how they fell in love. The only thing I like about it is like the actual interaction between Lauren London and Jonah Hill, I think is really good. And I really like that. And they actually bring up some really like interesting points but then just gloss over them with like shitty humor. So I'm gonna say like just fucking thumbs down for that movie.
yeah. I don't know if I'll be checking that out.
What I did like again is I'm talking about a lot of non-horror stuff. So I'm watching a lot of non-horror stuff, but Poker Face on Peacock with
Yeah, I really
Natasha
want to watch it.
Lyonne, fucking awesome. That
I've
that
heard
show is
that's
my
good.
shit right now. It's so good. It's so good, and she's such a good actress.
Yeah, I love
Um,
her.
yeah, and the fact they have also some really cool like in the first, I'm not spoiling anything here, but in the first episode, like Adrian Brody's a main character in the first episode, and I really have been enjoying been enjoying Poker Face. So I haven't watched Skinamarink. I tried watching a couple independent horror films a day, and they just fell flat for me. Like I respect everyone out there trying to make horror movies, but sometimes like you gotta have someone telling you, dude, like this isn't good. Your idea is not good. Like you're filming on an iPhone. It's not good. Like like I miss film. And then I watched The Mist, which I've seen 1,000 times. But
Yeah, well, that was a good time.
yeah,
Oh, I love it. My favorite rom com. So I love
The
it.
tentacle and
when they spoiler when he killed them at the end, and he's slapping good time.
Yeah, now he gets to live and he doesn't have any responsibilities.
yeah.
Happy ending to me.
Allison, what'd you watch?
Let's see. This week I watched the movie Missing, which is in theaters right now.
Oh, how was that?
Really good. I also really liked Searching.
Mhm.
I think this one is really worth seeing in theaters. It's probably good to also watch on your laptop, but I also didn't get distracted when I watch things on my laptop because I get like notifications and stuff popping up. But I enjoyed it, and there were a lot of people in the theater, which really surprised me. But like at certain like twists and reveals, people were like, oh, like they were actually like
That's
into it
cool.
and gasping.
Nice.
So I think it's really worth seeing. And then I also watched The Offering, which is a new horror movie about a guy and his wife who come back to his family home which is also a funeral parlor in Orthodox Jewish Brooklyn. And they're estranged, and there was just a little girl that was buried there, and weird things start to happen. It's like the autopsy of Jane Doe meets Krampus, because it also tells the story of a Jewish Krampus-like figure, and that's the demon sort of that's in the body of somebody that is in the morgue. So it was really good. You can rent it on VOD right now. And then
Allison, did you see The Vigil?
Yeah, it was really good. I really like The Vigil too.
I don't know if you saw, but we have an interview with the director.
Oh, cool. I'll have to check that out.
Really cool guy.
One thing about the offering, I saw you talk about it. So I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to watch this because the way you describe them is great. But when I saw the tagline that they show like on iTunes, it's like a family moves into a house and weird things happen. I'm like, I hate that movies do this. Give you the most boring tagline ever that makes you not want to watch a movie. Then I heard you say it was, a Jewish Krampus meets Autopsy of Jane Doe, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm in for that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and then the last thing I saw on Friday night, I went to go see Knock at the Cabin.
So without spoilers, without spoilers, how was it?
I mean, there's not really any way to spoil it. You know what it's about from when you're going into it.
I love the book. Absolutely love the book. So that's I'm really wondering how the movie holds up, and I'm both excited and scared to watch it.
I mean, some parts of it were entertaining. I thought the ending fell flat a little bit. I've heard that the ending is completely different from what's in the book. And that there's a big plot change, but I won't say what it is.
Now I'm super interested. How was Dave Bautista in this?
He was great. Not super familiar with him, but he was lovely.
Well, a former WWF wrestler, I stand by him being the best ex-wrestler turned movie star because The Rock, let's be honest, The Rock's cool, right? The Rock's but he plays The Rock in every fucking movie he's in. I love The Rock. But Dave Bautista is actually showing like he's actually trying to be like legitimate serious actor. I do love that. Like the part in the trailer when he walks up to the little girl and she's, "Why are you sad?" He goes, "I'm sad for what I'm gonna have to do." Like that gave me fucking chills. Like the way he delivered that, I was like, "Oh." I read the book. I know what's gonna happen.
Yeah. No, cool. Everyone in the cast was really good, especially the little girl who plays Wen. And this is her first role, apparently.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Okay. Then going on to
hold on a second. You talk about watching. I tell you, I just finished reading. Nick Cutter's The Deep. I heard it's being transitioned into a full film, and I don't know how they're going to do a movie on this. I know it's going to disappoint me because, but the book is fucking terrifying. It's like the last 100 or so pages was really difficult to get through, and the fact that I had to keep putting it down because I was like, all right, I need like an eye bleach break here, or a brain bleach break here to get rid of what I just fucking read. So highly recommend that. I loved his book, The Troop, as well.
I can't read any of those because I hear that there are like huge chunks of like animal mutilation in them. So
it is. But what I will say though, like it's not played for shock value. It's played because it's an integral part of the main character's life, and like the way like you can definitely tell that like Nick Cutter has a deep love for animals because of how he writes those scenes. Like he definitely knows like fuck. Like you can tell he's kind of embracing some of his own fears in this, and that's kind of why he writes it. Like the lead character in The Deep is a veterinarian.
Oh, okay.
Like it's like when the animal stuff eventually happens, like it's like I don't want to get into it, but it hits deep. Yeah, I would say it cuts deep.
I was gonna make that joke, but I didn't think it would be.
There.
Yeah.
If anything, I'm tasteless, so it's fine.
All right. Moving on to our advice section. Allison's not a parent, but she's also of the dating app community. And with Valentine's Day coming up, we thought she'd give out some tips for how not to be a creep on dating apps.
Okay. So first, with the don'ts on your profile, no mirror selfies. Your phone has a timer. Use it. No shirtless photos. I don't want to know what you look like without a shirt until
real fast. Is it somehow more endearing if someone took a shirtless photo, but they had like a dad bod?
No.
I don't know. I'm just trying to find ways to make this funny. Like I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Like,
And then like no photos of you with animals that you've hunted because or guns in general. I've seen a lot of those photos. Just it's not attractive. Don't send a generic or an inappropriate first message. I will never forget the one time years ago that I got a message on OkCupid. The first message he ever sent, it was, "Have you ever tried to make an omelet out of semen?"
Like, what the fuck? Seriously, what?
Oh my
god!
That's it. That's all he asked.
Man, I really fucked up back in the day when I was like just trying to meet girls. I'd be like, "Hello." This guy's nailed it. Like he's living
ASL.
he's living in
Yeah.
2123 right now.
I
Oh
only
my
went out with
God.
him 3 times. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, I never
That
went
was
out
good.
with him.
That was a
You want
good
to make an
one.
omelet, you have to crack some eggs.
Oh.
No, and then lastly, don't
Wait,
ghost. Don't ghost anyone. Just tell them you're not interested. It'll be fine. I've had men tell me that before, and I'm always like, cool, have fun, good luck. And then my do list is look at the photos that you're putting on them on your profile. Make sure you're not wearing your sunglasses in every photo. Make sure they're not all group photos. Make sure they're lit well. And then be honest, be communicative, and go to therapy. It's more men need therapy. So, yeah.
Wait, those are the dues for the men, not for you.
No, those are. I mean, those basically for everyone. But yeah.
Why in those sunglasses?
Because you can't really see what somebody looks like when they're wearing sunglasses. Most people look cute when they're wearing sunglasses.
Oh,
How do you feel about people that wear sunglasses indoors?
at night.
It drives me nuts. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why you would do that.
Well, I had to do it at one point in my life because after I got LASIK, every fucking bright light. But I would literally like walk into Smith's and to buy something. I'd be like, I would tell the cashier, "I'm so sorry, I'm really sensitive to light right now, so I have to wear these." Like I was so fucking like,
I'm sure they didn't care at all. I'm sure they're like,
they didn't, but I was so self-conscious about it. I hate sunglasses. I like when I'm watching like a pro wrestling show. There's all these people, like the one guy in the front with sunglasses on. I'm like, oh, you have to be like I imagine him like, what's happening? Can someone tell me what's happening?
Yeah.
What's like when I worked at a nursing home and all the ladies just wore sunglasses all the time.
But I imagine a lot of times they might be sensitive to light. That makes sense.
I know.
Yeah.
Or like an ex-friend of mine because he turned out to be a QAnon fucking insane person. It doesn't like me because I'm a Democrat and I'm gonna ruin his kids' lives apparently. But anytime he would take a picture with a rock star, he'd be the guy with sunglasses on. And I'm like, oh, so you're cooler than Ronnie James Dio. No, you're not.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing those because I met my wife before the dating apps were a thing, and God, I'm so happy I don't have to deal with that.
I met my wife through AOL Match back in fucking like 2001. And it was just funny because she was looking for like I just put some bands I liked on my profile. Just a bit. It started as a joke between me and a friend of mine who's like, "Oh man, you never meet a girl with these metal bands you like." I'm like, "Hey, I haven't had a problem with the past, but so I put some bands I liked on my profile, and she was searching for one of the bands, and it popped up, and then we started talking, and fucking we'll be celebrating 21 years of marriage in August. Have you ever? Okay, I gotta ask you a question too. What's the funniest opening line anyone's ever given you that you weren't just grossed out by? Has anyone ever come out with like a really great, like funny intro message to you?
I'm sure there may have been them.
It could have been that good if you don't remember.
I guess so. My ex, my first message to him was, "Did you go to such and such high school with that I went to?" Because I saw his hometown was the same as mine. Yeah. So I'm sure that was not one he got often. But one other do that I want to put on this list is do set up a date rather than just message back and forth endlessly and like get on the phone with the person. I know everyone's afraid of talking on the phone, but you will get a much better idea of what the person is like if you talk to them on the phone.
Definitely. And then last thing I'll ask you for some tips for our people that are trying to date. What is the best way to open a conversation with somebody?
Yeah.
Find something in their profile and ask them about it.
Okay, cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think that's a good tip for like too. If you're ever if you listen to people, And then like if you're ever it just works in business too. Like if you're listening to somebody and you can just ask them a question about something they talked about, like, oh, I like this, whatever, movie, band, whatever. And you can ask them a question about that, like you'll get people to talk. And it's kind of a cool thing to use. Like you can it's a business hack too if you want to talk to clients.
Yeah.
Find something they
Show
like
you're
and talk about
interested
it.
in somebody.
Yeah.
And like things that they like.
I mean, you have a podcast based on talking to people about things they like. So
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
it makes sense.
Nice. Okay, well, that wraps up another episode. Allison, thank you for joining us.
Thank
Where
you.
can people find you?
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. I'm so glad I got to rewatch an old episode of Tales from the Crypt. That was so much fun, and hang out with you guys. You can find me online at who'stherepodcast.com. I am at That Girl Allison on Twitter, and you can find my my show's Twitter through that. And yeah, subscribe to my podcast and let me know if you want to come on and be a guest. I interview people in the industry and just people who love horror movies in general. So yeah, hit me up.
And before we go, I have a question for both of you. Does a hoodie count as a jacket?
No.
Jason?
Does a hoodie sweatshirt or like a zip up hoodie?
A zip up hoodie. Does it count as a jacket?
If it has a zipper, it's a jacket. If it's just like a sweatshirt that happens to have a hoodie, then no, it's a sweatshirt. And a sweatshirt is a type of shirt.
Yes. Well, it's just 1 on 1. So I'm gonna have Jason post this as a poll on our Twitter. I want to know what people think, because Allison would not let it go that I was in New York in 6-degree weather and brought a hoodie.
Yeah, he was cold. It was last January. We were walking around the village and he was freezing because it was 30 degrees.
It was way colder than 30. It was 30 degrees. It would have been
You
awesome.
wearing like shorts and flip flops or something?
No, I had jeans on with and you couldn't see these obviously with thermal underneath my jeans.
Okay.
I had a thermal
I'd much rather
shirt on.
I'm more down with that.
No, guys, put a coat on. Next time I'll bring you a coat. Okay,
You can
Mondo,
tell
if you're not.
Oh, I bought a thicker, more insulated zip up hoodie for next time I have to go to the East Coast.
Oh my god.
So one
Jason,
time I had to go to Atlanta in January, and I had to find a heavy winter coat in Los Angeles, and there was none. Like everywhere I went, no one had it.
That was my joke to Alice. Like, dude, like you can't find a heavy coat. Like I don't know what a heavy coat is because I live in the
There
desert.
have to be thrift stores.
No, but I don't understand what a heavy coat really is because I live in that cold of a climate to ever justify buying one. We have REI and stuff. Next time I come out, trust me, I'm buying something insulated and warm.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't want to go to REI and spend like $300 on the coat.
Yeah.
You can, if you don't know what a winter coat is, you can just Google what makes a winter coat a winter coat.
He doesn't know how to use the internet.
We do have the internet. God damn it.
All right. Next week we will be reviewing Only Skin Deep. We appreciate everyone for listening. We'd really appreciate it if you would give us a rating review on iTunes, a rating on Spotify, and check out our Patreon for bonus content, including Mondo and Andy's WrestleMania or Royal Rumble.
Royal Rumble, goddamn it.
Royal Rumble review. Also, check out our YouTube for videos of these podcasts. And hey, go enter our giveaway to win some Fright Rag swag. And with that, we thank you for listening to Dads from the Crypt.
Adios to everyone, but the bastard Glenn Jacobs. You suck, Glenn Jacobs. Fuck.
Follow Dads from the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.